Chapter 4, The chase. The apartment had officially turned into a war zone. The Zoomies were bouncing off walls, tearing up furniture, and sending everything not nailed down flying through the air. It was pure chaos, a scene straight out of a renter's worst nightmare. Run! Chip panted, dodging a Zoomie that nearly bowled him over. That's the plan. Midnight grinned, adrenaline already kicking in as they started darting through the apartment like they were born for this moment. You've got a better idea? Lola, already sprinting to avoid a collision with a lamp that one Zoomie had sent airborne, wasn't convinced. Are we really supposed to just outrun them? Like. For how long? Forever. Not forever, Midnight said, weaving around a corner as two Zoomies zipped after them. Just long enough for them to tire themselves out. Trust me. Dexter, dragging his blanket with him as he ran, was already regretting everything about this plan. This is insane. We're gonna die in here. Death by Zoomie. Bella, who had taken refuge behind the couch, poked her head out to watch the chaos unfold. You love, Dex, freaking out and that blanket like it's your emotional support animal. Shut up. Bella. Dexter barked, still running in circles, the blanket dragging along the floor like a cape. Meanwhile, Chip was trying his best to keep up with Midnight, who was somehow managing to stay a few steps ahead of the Zoomies, despite their unrelenting speed. The sleek, dark dog moved like a shadow, twisting and turning through the chaos with a kind of graceful ease that made Chip wonder if Midnight had done this before. Come on, Chip. Pick up the pace. Midnight called over their shoulder, dodging a Zoomie that had nearly slammed into them. Trying. Chip wheezed, his legs already starting to burn from the exertion. You make this look way too easy. Because 'tis easy, Midnight said, fashing him a grin. You just gotta stop thinking so much and start moving. Chip wasn't sure that advice was all that helpful, but before he could respond, a Zoomie barreled past him, so close that he could feel the gust of wind from its speed. Oh, hell no. Chip yelped, kicking into high gear. His survival instincts finally kicked in, and suddenly, he wasn't thinking anymore, just running. Lola, who had somehow ended up on the kitchen counter to avoid getting trampled, watched as the Zoomies continued their rampage, tearing through the apartment like Tasmanian devils on speed. This is insane. There's no way we can keep this up. Midnight zipped past her, barely missing another Zoomie. Don't worry, they'll slow down soon. They always. Lola asked, frowning. How many times have you done this? Midnight winked at her before disappearing into the chaos again. Enough to know how it ends. Dexter, still dragging his blanket and looking like he was on the verge of a mental breakdown, finally collapsed in the corner, panting heavily. I'm done. I can't do it anymore. Let them take me. I'm ready for the sweet release of death. Bella strolled over casually, her tail flicking as she eyed Dexter with mild amusement. Drama queen. Shut up, Bella, Dexter muttered, burying his face in his blanket. This is how it ends for me. Alright, no one's ding. Chip panted as he skidded to a stop next to Dexter, his legs shaking from the effort of keeping up with the Zoomies. We just have to outlast them. Midnight said they'll tire out soon, right? Define soon, Dexter grumbled, refusing to lift his head from the blanket. Lola, still on the counter, sighed. This plan is ridiculous. We're just running around in circles hoping they'll run out of energy before we do. Chip looked around the room, trying to assess the situation. The Zoomies were still zipping through the apartment at breakneck speed, but even he could tell they were starting to slow down just a little. Midnight's plan was working, even if it didn't feel like it at the moment. Okay, maybe this plan is a little crazy. Chip admitted. But it's all we've got. So, let's just. Before he could finish his sentence, a Zoomie crashed into the side of the couch, sending it toppling over with a loud thud. Ella, who had been standing right next to it, barely jumped out of the way in time. Jesus Christ. Bella yelped, her cool demeanor finally cracking. These things are insane. They're Zoomies, what did Yo-Oh expect? Midnight shouted over the noise, still dodging and weaving like it was all just a game. Chip winced as another Zoomie barreled past him, nearly knocking him off his paws. Okay, seriously. How much longer can they keep this up? As if into his question of the Zoomies who had been heavily. Its eyes wide and wild, before collapsing into a heap on the floor. Oh my God, Dexter whispered, peeking out from his blanket. Did it just pass out? Ted us up toward what D0D there, panting. Midnight grinned, clearly pleased with the turn of events. Looks like it. Chip glanced around the room, noticing that the other Zoomies were starting to slow down too. Their erratic movements were becoming more sluggish, their once boundless energy finally beginning to fizzle out. Eyes working. Lola said, disbelief in her voice as she watched another Zoomie collapse onto the floor, too tired to keep going. They're actually wearing them sleeves out. Of course it's working. Midnight said, sauntering over to the couch and flopping down as if they hadn't just been sprinting for their life moments ago. The key to dealing with Zoomies is patience. They burn bright, but they burn fast. Chip, panting and exhausted, collapsed onto the floor next to Midnight. I can't believe that actually worked. Dexter, still curled up in his blanket, sighed in relief. So. We're not gonna die. Not today. Midnight said with a wink. Bella, still standing, looked around at the Zoomies who were now either passed out or too exhausted to move. So. What do we do with them now? Midnight shrugged, looking completely unfazed. VWE, let them sleep it off. By the time they wake they'll be back to their normal, non-psychotic selves. Chip raised an eyebrow. And what if they're not? Midnight grinned. Then we run again.